difficult week, but the computer is finally back up, and now we're ready to start streaming. So, what are we talking about today?
All right. So, without further ado, my friends, let's jump right into it. And we're gonna go down this list. Shane actually did most of the topics this week, and I love them all. So, I want to talk about RFK and let me just start recording this. RFK and why we no longer trust the government. Shane, can you set this up for us?
Yeah, it just dawned on me, like, especially with all the JFK documents coming out and the trouble we've had with Epstein, and just, the fact that you had an entire, a large number of people who wanted Trump to be elected because of transparency and visibility. And despite him being the president, we still don't seem to have as much transparency and visibility as we want. And I just come to realize that, we simply just don't trust the government. I mean, the bulk of Americans, we just don't trust our government, because our government is continuing to try to keep us under the umbrella of the past,
right?
Which they used, for security reasons, to kind of keep us in the dark, to protect us from ourselves. And we're struggling to fight for a new age where, listen, we're all, adult enough to be told the truth. And it seems like, despite Trump trying to get documents released, Pam Bondi trying to get documents released, there are still factions within the government that are trying to fight against that. For example, with the JFK docs that just came out, 80,000 new documents. Everybody hasn't had a chance to go through them all yet, but what happened?
80,000, right?
80,000.
A lot.
So documents. So what happened? Well, tons of them were still redacted. What did Trump say? There will be no redacted documents.
No redactions.
So why were there redacted documents that were released still? So there's obviously a power struggle behind the scenes. And the more we continue to be disappointed when somebody in the Trump administration says, hey, we're releasing this, you guys are going to know everything, blah, 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 blah. And then something gets released and we don't know everything, I think it just continues to reinforce the lack of trust we have for the government. What do you think?
Well, I mean, yeah, I agree with you. On that note, though, this is probably the biggest release we've ever gotten in regards to RFK. This is like a massive. I'm sorry, JFK. Why am I saying RFK?
Well, he's got there's his own secrecy revolved around his right. Assassination. Yeah. So
I kept saying all that. Still. RFK is on my brain. It's here's gravelly.
It's because his son's doing the HHA thing.
We need to stop eating seed oils and go back to beef tallow. By the way, the guy ain't wrong. Beef tallow is much better for you.
Don't know if I like it.
It's also way more expensive and hard to get. So, anyways, no, you're not wrong, but this is the most disclosure we've ever gotten in regards to JFK. Now,
sorta.
I mean, there's a lot here, right?
So just because you release a lot of stuff, if there's really not much in it, does it mean anything?
Well, so first off, they released 13 on the 18th. They released 32,000 pages,
right?
And then 2 hours later, they released another 31,000 pages. 2 days later, they released 13,000 pages. Over the weekend, we're going to see another 10,000 pages, right? By Monday. This is a lot to sort through, and not all of it is actually searchable. So
none of it is.
No, there is some words that are searchable.
Not the recent stuff that was put out.
Not the recent stuff.
Made it.
No.
Yeah.
So this is the kind of, if you want to see this on your own, go to archives.gov, and it's the first thing. Just type in JFK. It'll pop up. The thing is, though, these documents, there's so much to go through. There's so much to digest, and it's everything. Because at some point during the Bush administration, they added a bunch of other things to the JFK investigation as part of the documents. It's going to take a lot of people a lot of time to go through these. Now, we were watching some, or at least I was watching some legal guys that went through about 100 pages. It took them about 6 hours, 6 hours straight. They went through about 100 pages. And so far, not much has changed. We get a little bit more context on Oswald and the stuff with Russia and all that, but the majority of this, like, there's no new information here yet that we haven't.
There's a little bit. There's really three, I think, significant pieces of new information. So you've got the fact that Jack Ruby was confirmed that Jack Ruby and Lee Harvey Oswald had met several weeks before the assassination in a bar. There was a CIA report that had happened. It puts a tie to the fact that, Ruby, who said he was just a patriotic American, couldn't stand it and had to kill Lee Harvey Oswald. Well, obviously there's something else to it. Him being a part of the mob for sure, guaranteed person that was in the mob, has a weird tie. The fact that the CIA is reporting on it, another weird tie. So you've got that element. And then you have somebody who was in the CIA who got scared after the assassination and said that there was a rogue faction in the CIA that basically tried to assassinate the president. He became fearful. He left Washington, D.C. He ended up getting, he was found dead in his apartment with a gunshot behind his head, behind his ear, right. Which, let me tell you, if you kill yourself, it's either here or here. It's not. It's even harder to get the gun turned around. So give me a break, right?
Yeah. But by the way, that's like a running joke too. Like, Clinton chef committed suicide in his apartment today. He was shot in the back of the head 3 times and dug his own grave. Like,
right.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Come on. There's no way that dude killed himself. Just like Epstein. Like, this didn't happen. They're blatantly lying to us. We all know it. This is not real. And I don't think at Oswald, first off, the dude, according to the docs, like stuff that I've been watching. And by the way, I'm not a big JFK guy. Shane has really looked into this prior to these documents releases. I sort of just listened to whatever Shane said and said, that sounds like it makes sense.
I'm so glad you trust me.
I trust Shane. So like when Shane's like, I don't think there was this, and I don't think there was, I'm like, oh, okay. I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
I started when the documents dropped. I started watching videos. I started looking through the documents, and I'm like, Oswald is not a genius. The guy's not very bright. He didn't plan a presidential assassination for sure. Maybe he was a part of it as a stooge, but all these documents do for me is sort of strengthen the opinion that the CIA killed the president of the United States.
Yeah, there's no smoking gun. Let's be clear. And I think that's what frustrates people is like, who killed him already? And the problem is, in my opinion, there's been too many years for the CIA to make sure there were no documentation that pointed the finger back at them. You know what I mean? There's too many years have gone by where, they could have easily destroyed any documentation that might have been put down. Here's the other thing. Perhaps there was no documentation on paper that points to the assassination of President Kennedy because it could have just been oral orders. So,
right, or grunts.
All these, yeah. What?
Or grunts, or nods and winks.
Maybe, yeah. But then you could have gotten like, I don't know, the mayor of Texas, or the mayor of San Antonio.
I'm obviously being hyperbolic, yeah. But what I'm saying is like it could have literally have never made its way to any official information. It could have been back channels.
Why would you want it to be?
Yeah, some branch, some rogue branch of the CIA that never did anything with it. And the investigation being led by the CIA would probably go, that's sort of pointing in our way. Let's just go the other way.
Well, and we still don't have a lot of the FBI documents. So the FBI was involved as well. What we know is the CIA was tracking Oswald for 4 years. Some people believe that he might have been they were going to set him up as an operative. He'd already been to, Moscow. He'd already, he
was already a double agent. Moscow was like, this guy has no information. Get him out of here.
Yeah, it's a really complicated and weird story. There's a report while he was in Russia that he was a terrible shot, right? He was out on a shooting range and couldn't hit anything.
Yeah, he couldn't hit anything.
It's very strange how it was all set up. It's weird that he happened to be working at the book depository 3 weeks before, several months before Kennedy.
Just randomly.
But he was. But what's weird is he was working there before Kennedy was even supposed to go to Texas, which leads to a very complicated, a complicated idea that perhaps this was being planned for a long time. And we just don't have the information to kind of reinforce that. And none of this documentation so far has pointed to any of that. It's still more speculation. The one thing that we can tell for sure is that somehow the mob seems to be involved. Somehow the CIA seems to be involved. At least when it comes to what we do know is that Lee Harvey Oswald was the person who supposedly took the shot. So both of those entities were involved with him. He was also involved with the Bay of Pigs, right? And all that stuff going on. Kennedy,
which was a big deal with Kennedy. Yeah, Kennedy.
He didn't provide air cover when those guys were getting killed on the beach, which on an operation which he supposedly didn't really know about, but kind of quietly approved. It was a CIA operation. And so people were hung out to dry. Now, was Lyndon Johnson involved? There's some people saying there's a guy who said that Lyndon Johnson told him basically that,
that guy was, because I know what you're talking about. He said, someone asked, the guy who was running against someone, he asked another politician, why he didn't run for president or something like that. And basically, he wasn't willing to kill for it like Lyndon Johnson was.
So, and Lyndon was, he should have never been the VP. He was the VP brought in because, it provided balance, but he hated the Kennedys, so it's very weird. There's just so many things here, but it's obvious that there's still things that they're trying to keep secret because there's still redacted things. Why would you continue to redact things? If it's not going, if there's no information, right? So
that's a good question. What about this? What about the autopsy showing 2 bullet holes, and the coroner unilaterally deciding that the country needed closure, so he just moved the bullet hole to a different place.
There are some people who said it wasn't even his head. There's so many strange.
But that automatically says there were 2 shots. Oswald didn't fire 2 shots.
There's, I mean, looking at the video evidence and kind of the whole magic bullet theory and everything else, the 2 bullet holes, the fact that there were bullet casings found in different places and a shot from off of the underpass. I mean, it's obvious there was more shots taken.
Yes.
But nobody will come out and make that the official statement. I mean, we're still sitting behind this whole Oswald did it by himself thing. And it's come on,
Oswald.
It's pretty obvious that something else was occurring. And you got guys who've testified to taking those shots.
Right.
Who are now dead, but did it before, while they were in prison.
So someone in the chat said with OCR and AI, surely it'll be searchable and gone through in record time. So that's true. OCR is basically a text reader. It takes images that have text on it and it sort of recreates it as text. So that text can be fed into AI, then it can be searchable and cross-reference and all that. That's very true. And I think with all these, remember you have channels out there and social media accounts and websites like 4chan. I went to 4chan this morning about this. And there's an entire new, I don't know what they call them, channel or subreddit, whatever, set up for this. And you have all these autists in there. And I call them that because they have nothing better to do than obsess over things. And they are actively just going through these documents. So over the next couple of weeks, it's not going to, some of these experts, these legal experts, it's going to take years for us to process all this. What world are you living in, dude? It's not going to take years. This is 2025, and we have access to artificial intelligence and digital tools that can go through this in the next week. So in the next,
they can do it that fast?
Oh, bro! I think as they come out, they're
because how do they scan the documents? What do they pull them off digitally or how? I mean, it's 80,000 documents. I mean,
okay. So basically, this is an example of a document, right? So all this text with OCR, that can be read as text and then retranslated into a fresh document with this text, with real actual text. So the image itself, as fast as you can download it, that image can be turned back into text. And then that text can be fed back into an AI.
So how many pages, how long will it take one page to go through that process?
A couple minutes.
Okay. So you're looking at, 160,000 minutes.
Yeah.
Divided by 60. What is that? So you're looking at, if nonstop, you're looking at 2,666 hours, or it can be done in 111 days. So 6 months. Right. If it was nonstop 24 hours a day.
Well, that's one computer. But you have autists.
I guess if you coordinated and you had people doing it. But
yeah.
Let's just safely say we're not going to really know what's in those documents for, let's just say 6 months. Is that fair?
Yeah, I'll say 6 months at the max.
Okay.
Because it's not me in my computer processing these images one at a time.
And this isn't all the documents. The FBI still has not released all their documents. So anyways, the whole point about this is we don't trust the government. We don't trust the government as long as we feel like they're still hiding things from us. Unfortunately, it may end up they're not hiding anything from us. They just don't know anything because everything of consequence was destroyed shortly after the event occurred. And that could be the same with Epstein. It could be. I'm very curious if Epstein had a video set up and there were videotapes and all these things were taken from the island. Who has those things right now? Like, who has all the evidence? No one talks about that. Like, we got to release the Epstein documents. Well, what about all the Epstein evidence? Was there any? Was it destroyed? Like, we don't know these very simple, basic things.
Yeah. What's that quote, never attribute malice to something that can be explained by incompetence or stupidity or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Well, we all want there to be we want meaning in things that are important. And so when we find that there isn't meaning, we tend to be disappointed. So we want to believe there's a conspiracy. We want to believe that it's complicated. We want to believe that Johnson killed Kennedy, right? It has to be that consequential. So with Epstein, it could just be as simple as, a few powerful people that were close to him said, yeah, kill him and destroy everything and hide the, whatever. And there's no evidence. It's possible.
Well, we're dramatic people. We like stories. We like the hero's journey. We like crime podcasts. You know what? Recently I was listening to a crime podcast about this influencer that they called like the female Andrew Tate, right? And I'm
trying to formulate that.
Yeah, it's funny because I actually knew this story very well. It had to do with a celebrity that I was actually already aware of. I remember I was already following this years ago. And I'm listening to this crime podcast and they haven't given the name yet. They're like doing that thing where they tease it. They're great writers. Sort of like you, Shane, like when you sort of tease when we're doing our bigger videos, you tease it and you massage it along and you give all the information on it. And
Make it
you
interesting.
Go, here's the name. And you're like, oh. But they were like, blah, 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 2 hours. Here's the name. You're like, wait a minute. Everything you said is incorrect. Like, you are making this person out to be a straight up monster. But in reality, she signed up with an MLM and ended up in a sex cult. She's not a good person, but she's also just incompetent.
Yeah.
There's a reason why she got out of jail in 2 years. She wasn't actively hunting 15-year-old women for perverse murder rituals. Like, that's not real. We take everything and we make it as dramatic as possible because that's entertaining.
It is.
So now you have it's entirely possible that a couple some rogue CIA agents that never record anything tried to murder the president, tried to
use their contacts to the mob.
Right, use the contacts to the mob. They used Oswald as a stooge, like, oh, this guy's perfect. He's like a defector. He's
an idiot.
He's an idiot. He's working the thing. Yeah, Rum. It can really not be just as simple as that, and we'll never know who was remotely connected to it. But what we want to hear is Lyndon killed the president, and he worked with the Russians, and the CIA was operating a shadow government before Ken. We want like this whole like epic drama that has a 3-act series, you know?
Yeah.
We want that last, then we want vengeance, and we want JFK 2. This time it's personal. We want that. We want the drama.
Well, think about how much entertainment
right
that JFK's assassination has provided throughout the decades. Think about how many hours that people have spent like pontificating it. You know, it's just part of the human psyche. And so I'm not saying that we're never going to learn anything, but I would prepare yourself that you're not going to learn anything, you know, and that the story, the fable, the legend will continue for time inescapable. So,
well, what this will do though is we will get awesome movies, awesome YouTube videos,
perhaps
great audio dramas and podcasts.
There will be more entertainment
with all this new information. People are going to be cross-referencing this and that, and
well, the Israeli intelligence was in these documents.
Oh yeah.
Now it's like,
dude, the second
Jews,
they dropped the Israeli intelligence, I'm like, oh, the Jews did it.
Did the Jews kill JFK? Because let me tell you, we don't need any more people hating on that group.
Yep, so. and we know 4chan hates Jews, so they're just like, oh, this is the Jews. So yeah, no, we're gonna get tons of quality entertainment from this. And I think you're right, Shane. I don't think we're ever gonna find like a smoking gun when it's like, and then Lyndon B. Johnson ordered the rogue CIA agents to kill. No, we're never gonna get that.
Well,
but
also,
we're gonna get more information that will deepen the drama of this horrible event in history.
Which makes you wonder: did they redact things in these documents just to maintain mystery? So, I mean, seriously,
Trump is an entertainer. He's like, guys, I want you to redact every time you say the word "where."
I really hope not, because I'll tell you, he's the one who called for no redaction. So I want him. Listen, of all people, he needs to be the most transparent.
He's like, imagine if every time you say the word "where," okay, is and or the, redact that.
Next time.
Just redact random nonsense, but no names, just random stuff.
Yeah. Well, the thing is it's been redacted for decades. What I'm saying is some of this stuff that's coming out that's not redacted, there's really not a whole lot of info in it.
Right.
So why the fuck was it redacted in the first place? It makes you wonder after the Warren Commission why so much stuff was redacted that really didn't give anybody any information on it.
I think it can connect to, man, I can't talk today. It can connect to like other things that could have been some kind of criminal, the CIA is not allowed to operate here, right?
They're not supposed to.
They're not supposed to. And the FBI is not supposed to operate abroad. But we both know, everyone here knows that happens all the time.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, these documents prove that the CIA operated within the United States, which is not supposed to be happening.
Well, there's a lot of documents that have proved that, not just these.
I know, but I'm saying that. And it also proves that the FBI has worked abroad, which is not supposed to happen. So maybe some of these things were like timely, and it was connected to other things going on that could have shown some kind of criminal misconduct, because they're not, who knows?
Well, what I'm saying is we're not seeing anything that really demonstrates that yet. Perhaps there is, but we're not seeing it. My point is,
but when all the pieces are put together, maybe it paints a bigger picture.
That's what I believe they want us to think. Listen, think about it for a second, right? They destroy any evidence that points to them,
right?
But they redact everything to keep people confused. Think about all the UFO information, all the people who think about all the counterintelligence stuff that occurs,
right,
where the government is trying to make you think something that isn't true to make it seem even that more crazy.
Yeah, maybe we should reverse that quote. Never attribute stupidity to something that could just be malice.
That the government could have created in the first place.
At this point, maybe the government is just straight malicious.
Right. I mean,
the UFO stuff is so true too, because like some of the stuff you get like through like the Freedom of Information Act, where it was previously redacted and they leaked it in like the 80s, and then when the Freedom of Information, what's it called? There's a short term for it. Freedom of Information. It's like
the FOIA. You mean?
Yeah, the FOIA. Yeah. When that thing happened, when you can actually request documents.
Yeah.
people started requesting like the unredacted version of these like documents that were leaked, and they're like, "What the? This is nothing.
There's nothing there.
This just talks about Private Gerald during his fire shift at the base." Like, yeah. Why is it redacted? And I was like, I don't know. Maybe it's part of something bigger, and that's what they always say. Maybe it's part of something bigger, or maybe it's nothing. Maybe this whole thing is a psyop, and you're chasing butterflies, dude.
Which is what they want.
Right.
Because it's easier to control people when you can feed them a narrative. If they can feed you something, that could control what you think and your actions. So what happens with a government that's totally transparent? Now, you can't have a government that's totally and completely transparent at all times, because there are things that need to be kept secret, because you're dealing with foreign adversaries who don't have your best interest in heart. So there are things you have to keep hidden, but there's things that you don't. What happened with Martin Luther King? What happened with Robert Kennedy? What happened to JFK? What happened with Epstein? What's going on with these UFOs? I truly believe all of this stuff needs to be transparent.
Right.
Throw in Bigfoot while we're there, please.
Yeah. Okay. Big and Loch Ness Monster.
Show us images of the fucking moonlander on the moon, please. Just show images.
Show us
the damn moonlander so that we can shut up about this.
It's not that hard.
So
we have the technology. Why are we not doing this? Yeah.
Let's put this all into perspective so that way we calm down.
You're right. This seems like such an easy fix. Like, guys, chill out. Look, here's the moonlander. No big deal. Oh, all right.
Everybody's like, damn it. Okay, that one's gone.
Yeah, dude.
They'll just say that the images are faked or whatever.
Oh, yeah, they will. Yeah. Someone in chat, Fate Lingard, says, I work for the government and we re-redact documents that are pointless all the time. Mm-hmm. You're totally right, though. Like, you have the information. You can just... A large group of people can be, maybe not everyone, but most of the people out there that are skeptical of these things can be shut up pretty quickly with some basic information that you already have. So what by withholding it, though, you put us all off tilt, and you make us believe that they're hiding something. Why would they do that? And you have to ask yourself, well, why would they do that? That makes no sense. Maybe that's the point. Shane, maybe you're right. Maybe the point is to keep us busy.
Yeah, keep us
off tilt.
Yeah. If we're thinking about this thing, we can't be looking at this other thing that we might want to be looking at.
We can't be looking at USAID and the $5 trillion they spent. Maybe if we're all looking at the moon landing and Bigfoot and JFK files for decades and decades and decades, we're not looking at the other black funded slush accounts that is funding, complete and total corruption just throughout the government like veins. Maybe we can't look at all that stuff because we're too busy worried about whether or not we landed on the moon in the 60s.
Yeah, and if you make conspiracies crazy, when people come up with other ideas, they'll be ignored. Think about right now on social media, how many times you hear something that's freakish and outlandish and you just go, because that's all we're hearing all the time.
Right.
So that thing that the government did is just another freakish, outlandish thing that possibly could have occurred. Just something to think about.
And you're never going to know. You're never going to know.
At this rate, it sure seems like we're never going to know. So all the government can do is make everything as visible as possible, release all the documents that they have, redact nothing, and then just say, this is what it is.
Right.
And at least we will feel like the government is trying to tell us the truth and not hide things from us. And it's an uphill battle for Trump.
Right. Do you remember when Trump was on Rogan?
Yeah.
And Rogan's like, listen, man, so are aliens real? He just straight up asked him. He's like, what do you know about the alien thing? He says, trust me, Joe, that was one of my first questions. And there's not much there.
I don't think Trump thinks there's anything to it.
And he was trying to like still be entertaining or whatever, but really, there's no aliens as far as the government. At least they didn't tell Trump. And that's what most people said was, well, why would they tell Trump? Okay, well, he is the president of the United States. I don't.
Well,
I
they
guess
did the
you're
same
right.
thing
Why
to
would they?
Obama and everybody else. So who knows?
Because the government's actually ran by lizard people. It's been ran by lizard people since the turn of the century. 1924 is when the first lizard person, who is literally a reptilian wearing human skin, came into office. And they've slowly been taking
FDR?
over every single branch of government since then. Trump is an anomaly. He's the one president that was not a lizard person. He wasn't supposed to be president. And so that's why they hate him so much. They call him an outsider, when in reality, that's just term for human being.
What do you call this? The Salarian hypothesis?
The Salarian hypothesis.
Okay.
They're finally coming up from the outer crust, and they're taking over wide swaths of the world. And all we can do is wait. I mean, what do they say? You're gonna eat bugs, you're gonna own nothing, and you're gonna love it. Doesn't that sound like a lizard thing to say? You're gonna eat bugs and you're gonna love it. Hold up, bro. What eats bugs? Lizards.
Dude, of all the hypotheses, this is the one I do not want to be true. Okay, of all of them, this is the one I don't want to have to be true.
When I saw that World Forum or whatever, when they're like, but the future is insects, protein, and you're like, that sounds like a real lizard thing to say, bro. Why are you trying to get us to eat bugs, dude?
What's crazy about it is the Salarian hypothesis. Imagine this. So basically what happened is some form of human being evolved into like a human dinosaur hybrid on Earth through time. So
instead of a mammal version, it was a reptile version.
Yeah. So if there were Salarians, they would also be Earthlings. They wouldn't be aliens.
Yeah, they wouldn't be aliens. Salarians would just be Earthlings.
They would be Earthlings.
It would be another sentient species that grew intelligence.
Right. It would be a different, as opposed to Homo sapien, it would just be another genome. It would be another race.
Right. Now, what about this? So lizards, reptiles. I'm gonna say reptiles. Reptiles hate the cold, right?
They need the sun. They need the sun in order to heat up.
So what if during the Ice Age, these intelligent reptiles race dug massive holes as close as possible to the Earth's core,
to get to the magma? Yeah, why not?
so they can stay warm.
Stay warm. Yeah,
they built a whole society down there. We know reptiles hibernate for years sometimes. Now we have the entire society down there.
We're making things worse by doing this.
The Earth starts to warm up. And they start popping their head out. And they're like, fucking, these damn apes are now running everything up here. Like it used to be us. It used to be us and our reptile brother and the dinosaurs. Mm-hmm. And now it's just a bunch of mammals. And they're running around and they're super violent. And they're like killing each other in pointless wars. Well, the American Indian, right? The Native Americans, there was like 48 tribes at one point. And then it was like 12. So... And that's not just this continent, but every continent. But in this continent in particular, imagine like popping your head up. You're like this sentient, civilized lizard that were, this society that was waiting out the Ice Age. And you pop your head out and you're looking around and all you see is a bunch of apes beating the crap out of each other nonstop, raping and pillaging. They're like, screw this, bro. We are not prepared for this. We don't want any of this noise. And they're like, okay, there's too much smoke up there. We're going down. And they go back down. And let's say every 100 years, they pop up. And what's going on? Fuck, these guys are crazy. They're like raping and pillaging and just murdering each other. They're sacrificing their children to like these random sky gods. This is weird. Let's go back down. And at some point in the 1800s, right after the Wild Wild West started to calm down, the industrial age started to pop up. We started to go a little bit more civilized. They're like, okay,
let's make our move.
This is our time. These dumb apes can be controlled.
There we go.
All we have to do is look a little bit like them. That's it.
Here's the problem. I have found very few intelligent human beings that could be intelligent Salarians. So if there are some super intelligent Salarians, show yourself. Maybe Elon. Maybe.
What if Elon? Remember, so Elon was like this.
He keeps joking.
He was a big crunchy liberal for like years and years and years, right? What if he finally like sent a rocket into space, saw the dark side of the moon, he's like, fuck.
Well, NASA would have seen it before him.
He's like, no, what if he's like, NASA's in on it.
No.
We need to get Trump into office ASAP.
Listen, dude, you need to stop this. Okay, this is getting out of hand.
Bro,
you're going way too weird.
Shit.
You're giving people way too many weird ideas. Let's just knock it off.
I'm giving you the drama you want.
You all need to know that Brian is huge on this Salarian thing. Okay, I just want you to know, like in his heart of hearts, this is what he believes.
I love the reptile. Look, I don't.
Yes,
no, hold up. I don't believe
Ever
it.
since Doctor Who,
I don't. I didn't say I believed it. I just like it. I want to hear more stories on this. Someone needs to write more movies and books about this.
All right, let me put you on point. Do you believe it?
No, I don't believe it. I don't believe reptiles have been hibernating in the Earth's core since.
Because I a little believe it. Like
Bigfoot's a lizard.
I also think the moon might be hollow, and I think Bigfoot might.
Hold up. I think the moon might be hollow.
Okay, been telling you this.
I did not believe that when we watched that stupid movie. Was it Geostorm?
No, it wasn't that one. It was. Where the Earth's coming to the.
It's the movie that came out like right next to that movie, but they're like the same movie.
Yeah, it was the same guy who made Independence Day.
Yeah, whatever. It's about the moon. Roland Emmerich, right?
Yeah,
He made it. It's funny. I remember his name at the movie. That's how bad the movie was. But the movie was Moonfall. So that movie was so ripe with scientific inaccuracies. It was
I love that movie.
Hard to watch. When the moon is literally so close that you can jump from the Earth to the moon. Do you understand what that would do?
Yeah, it would rip everything apart. That would not happen.
Everything would just be ripped apart.
Right. That was pretty ridiculous.
Absolutely no way that's possible.
But I loved every second of it.
But in that movie, the moon was actually hollow, and there was like a spaceship or like an AI or something. Sorry, spoiler alert. There's like some kind of AI inside of it or whatever that's like protecting us from bad AI or I don't know, some weird nonsense. Anyways, Shane was like, "Gotta watch this movie. I love this movie. It's so stupid, but it's fun."
Yeah,
and he's right. It was fun, even though it was really stupid.
But the moon was hollow.
But then I was watching a review about that movie. They're like, "Listen, movie's not very good, but let me tell you about why I think the moon's hollow." And and I'm watching this video. The guy's going through like records, and he's like, "Dude, when the first lander hit the moon, it rang for hours." What rings? What makes a ringing noise?
Something hollow.
A hollow something.
Right.
And then you look at all the pot marks, and the pot marks, like the craters, are not as deep as craters on Earth. Like they're pretty shallow. And this thing has been taking hits for years and years. It should be a disaster zone. Like this thing should be broken into pieces, but it's not. Also, the moon shouldn't even be there.
Oh, and by the way, yeah,
it shouldn't be there. Like after all this evidence, and wait, scientifically, it should have been gone.
Right,
it shouldn't even exist.
The moon makes life perfect on Earth.
It literally is like it's like the perfect counterweight to Earth.
Right? And it's at exactly the point, like away from the Earth, so that it perfectly encompasses the entire sun.
Right.
Which the odds of that happening are like millions and millions and millions to one.
Right. It's astronomically low that moon should even exist in the first place as part of random chance.
See,
so either it's hollow, it's made by aliens or a previous civilization, or the Salarians, or God exists, and you have to accept one of those options. Either you have to find faith or believe in aliens. Those are the only, like, once you look at the data, those are the only two options you have. And you might even be able to combine those into two things and be like, I both have faith and believe in aliens.
Well, how about this? Like, maybe it's not the government's fault. Look at us. We're absolutely messes, and we can't be trusted anyways. Now look at the crap we come up with. So.
Okay. All right. That
was fun.
Let's stop talking about lizard people.
Got some super chats.
We do have some super.
That was fun. Salarians.
That's learning about this is hella fun. All right, from the Shadow Ranger. Sounds like a Dota 2 character. You play Dota 2, man? The Drow Ranger. All right, he says, why does 1% of America still buy into the Fauci? Damn it. Some words. Some words I just can't
You've only
say.
heard that guy's name a million times the last 4 years.
Fauci garbage. It's 2025 and Coof is a dead horse. Society is 100% done with it, but a few NPCs can't let it go. Oh, you ain't playing. And by the way, we're not going to say the word because last time we got demonetized for talking about it. But you're completely right. I was in my car this morning. I was coming back from the shop, right? Shane knows where the shop is in connection to my house. So it's not very far. Yeah, so we have a shop that's very near to my house. Poor Shane lives 5 hours away from my workshop. I live 5 minutes away.
Nice. Anyways,
I'm coming back from the shop, and I swear to God, I go to this is why I was tripping about people making a right-hand turn. These idiots. I'm in the right-hand turn lane, and this car is just sitting there, hand on the 10 and 2, and I'm like, maybe it's an old person, right? And they're just sitting there at the light. Here's what made me really nuts, Shane.
It's a Salarian.
No, wait. I thought they were just selfish a-holes that got in the turning lane because they wanted to save a few seconds and they were going to go straight when the light turned red. Mm-hmm. No, they waited for the light to turn green to make a right.
Because they didn't know, because they're not from our country.
Because they're not from our country.
Right.
And then I finally catch up. Like, I have to see the guy that did this. He has to be admonished. He needs to be shamed. I need to ring the bell. Shame. And I get up there, and it's a younger person, and they got the mask on and the face shield, bro. They have a mask and a face shield in their closed car, hands on 10 and 2. I'm like,
that's so they won't get deported, bro. They don't want to be recognized.
But bro, I'm looking at this person. I'm like, I cannot shame him anymore than he shames himself. He shames himself, right?
That's good.
I let it go because clearly he's mentally challenged. He's like mentally disturbed if he's bought into this nonsense.
I think from the super, and thank you for the super chat. I think your point is well made. Like, why can't we just move on, move forward? I think the problem is that a lot of people during that time frame not only got silenced and canceled, were basically admonished for their beliefs, that it's hard for a lot of people to put that aside. They want some sort of retribution, some sort of acknowledgement. And there has been like a quiet, slow acknowledgement that it came from the lab, right? There's been some slow acknowledgement, but the one thing that's never really been acknowledged, and when Biden gave him the pardon, even though he hadn't done anything wrong, but he was pardoned completely for anything he might have done wrong.
Blanket pardon, but he signed it with a pen, with an auto pen, so it's actually not legal.
Which, yeah. So apparently, that's just stirred everybody back up again. And so a lot of people don't want to put down the Fauci, the fact that they feel like he needs to be responsible for some of the things. And he was a big player in everything that occurred to some degree, even if he didn't actually know what was happening over at the lab. It was funded through his department. He did receive some sort of kickbacks.
He did lie to the American people too.
He did. And I do think from the beginning with Fauci, I feel like, because he was working with Trump at first, then he was working with Biden. It seemed like he was just trying to, honestly, if I look at Fauci, I look at him as a guy who thought, I really don't want to be in this position at all. I just want to go back to my fucking lab, keep collecting my money for the little things we invent that we get kickbacks on, and just go back to my life. But he became like the face of what was happening and like the trusted source of knowledge. So he's like, yeah, throw on a mask. He didn't really know or give a shit or care about a mask. Oh yeah, stand 6 feet apart, because that's what everybody agreed on. So I think to a degree,
he's on record. Like, there's audio of him in interviews saying like the whole 6 feet apart thing. That I never said that. That doesn't make any sense. No, you literally. So there's audio of you both saying to do it.
Yeah.
And how it's important, and how masks are important. And there's audio a year later of you saying, I never said that. They're not important. You shouldn't have done that. Like, whoa, pick a lane, bro.
And that's because he never should have been the exalted figure that everybody made. I didn't even know who the fuck fuck Anthony Fauci was until
neither did
2020.
I.
I'd never even heard of his name.
I think I had heard of his name because of the AIDS thing.
I hadn't. I mean, I guess I didn't look into it that much, but
It was a big thing for me in like the late 90s, but yeah.
okay. Well, I mean, I didn't know who he was. I didn't care. All of a sudden now he's Jesus of sickness. and honestly, I don't think he wanted to be Jesus of
Hail
sickness.
Fauci.
He just wanted to continue like stealing from the government like everybody else and just kind of living his life and go on with your life. I think that's what happened. And he just kind of ended up in the crossfires. But the problem is the words came out of his mouth. The policies came from the things he said. Now he's responsible. Even if the politicians used it to move their side further to the right or the left. And now people want retribution. So I think that's why people can't let it go. But I tend to agree with you. We do need to move forward. We need to get past this in order to build a better future. So
agreed.
Good super chat.
Thank you. From Emma Go Gay. It's a members chat. Thank you, Emma. He or she says, I love Stargate SG-1, Atlantis Universe. How can I share my book, The Air, with you? I have taken all of Stargate lore into my own lore. Absolutely. Well, give him an email address. I would love to read it.
Send an email to dapopcast, DAPOPCAST @gmail.com.
That's the wrong email address, actually.
Well, do you check any of those?
Yeah.
Oh, well, never mind.
I'm going to put it on screen for you. Share it to this email address. I'll put it on the screen real quick.
We'll check it out.
Yeah, man. Actually, I'll put it in the chat.
I'm about ready for another Stargate rewatch.
Oh, I'm doing that with Johnny. Yeah, look at that email address right on chat. unleashlive2024@gmail.com. Share it to there. We will read it and we'll talk about it.
Awesome,
dude. We're watching it. We're watching Stargate every Sunday at 1 or 2 o'clock. I'm forgetting which one. With John and Gary, and we were just gonna watch it as bros. And we're like, you know what we should do? We should let all the members in on it. Remember, you know John Yulden?
Oh yeah.
We're watching. So John Yulden and his friend Gary. Gary has not seen Stargate. I'm like, well, we should watch.
Doing it on Discord?
Yeah, we're doing a watch party on Discord.
Discord, got it. Okay, cool.
So we're doing a watch party on Discord. We're like, let's just bring it. Instead of just 3 bros watching it, let all of the bros watch it.
Oh, it's a good idea.
Yeah,
that'd be fun.
Yeah, it's, every Sunday at 1 or 2 o'clock. If you guys Kenneth LaRoque, my man.
What up, Kenneth?
$10. This guy is such a G.
Thank you for the support, brother.
Just an absolute G. What makes you think that the info given on the redacted stuff is what was there originally? Ooh.
Oh, see, there you go. That leads into kind of what we were talking about. It being, maybe they've changed the info behind the redacted stuff.
That's interesting. It would keep it secret, but seem like they're releasing the info. Good point.
That's something I would do for sure. Yeah, they could hire somebody like me to figure out how to change the words. Yeah, for sure. Then they'd have to kill me, but
I mean, they would do it.
Never mind. I'll take the job. I don't want the job now.
He also said the moon's moving away from the Earth.
Very slowly.
Yeah, very
You're
slowly.
right. You're right.
But isn't the Earth also moving away from the sun very slowly? Isn't that how
it wobbles.
Galactic expansion works?
I mean, no. I think no. The solar system doesn't expand because it would get to the point where everything would just fly away from the sun.
But the solar systems move away from each other.
But our solar system is moving away from other solar systems in the galaxy in our neighborhood, or they're combining. So, and actually, we have another galaxy's actually merging with our galaxy. So, in a couple billion years, we'll be merged with another galaxy. So,
yeah, it's the Salarian. It's the Salarian galaxy. They're coming back. Okay, man. Let's talk about Attack on Tesla. It sounds like an anime. Attack on Tesla.
Attack on Titan. That's why. Yeah,
right. But there is an attack going on Tesla. A lot of NPCs out there think that, and I saw this tweet. Elon has a weak spot. It's Tesla. Attack.
Elon has a weak spot.
Yeah. I wanted to share this because I actually, first off, I'll just say this. I think that the attacks on Tesla are super dumb. As close as I've seen people get to fascism in this country. And I cannot understand why anyone would think it's okay to attack a random person for owning a particular car. I don't understand your thought process. Now, so I posted on my personal Facebook account, and I purposely am using the screenshot because I blurred out all of the people's names except for mine. But basically I wrote, hey, is this okay? Seriously, regardless of your political position, is this okay? Elon Musk has openly said he fears for his life. 2, Tesla owners are getting firebombed. 3, Doge employees are receiving death threats. 4, conservative influencers are getting swatted. 5, technicians who joined Doge are being doxxed and receiving death threats. I'm paraphrasing some of that stuff. Now, it's funny because most of the comments were reasonable. Like, most of my friends are pretty reasonable people. Like, they have, one of my buddies was like, he's also on the spectrum. So it's like they're picking on a special needs kid, essentially, which is sort of funny. Now, this is the problem. A couple of my friends they think differently.
You different. You different.
I'm being as nice as possible when I'm saying this. They think differently. I still love these people. But I had to ask.
Good for you. Good for you.
So this person, she's actually the wife of one of my friends. I'm friendly with her, but I don't know as much as I know of this other person. And basically she is like, I don't think it's right, but I don't like Elon Musk and I'm paraphrasing by the way, and we can't excuse his horrible behavior and he needs to learn, blah, 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 and this whole thing. So I basically wrote, I was like, I'm sorry, but I have to ask, what behavior of his is inexcusable? And that's the question, Shane. What behavior of Elon's is inexcusable? And I said,
once you start asking those questions, Brian, the problem is that there is no answer.
Right. I'm going to get to that.
You find out very quickly.
And I said, you don't have to like the guy, but there's a ton of false and misinformation just floating around, which is how people are justifying this insane, uncivilized, savage behavior, because that's what's happening. They're justifying firebombing random people that happen to own a Tesla because they think that Elon Musk is Hitler. So I asked this person that. And this is what they said. And this is when I realized that I can't ask this question.
Right.
They said, I couldn't tell you off the top of my head.
Yes.
My memory is one that I hear and read into something and think, wow, that's some crazy shit.
Oh, so stop right there. Stop right there. That's it. That's the whole answer.
Yeah.
So images of Elon, this is very simple. Images of Elon raising his hand in what was headlined a Nazi salute is all that person has probably seen. And then hearing about how he's taking over the government and he's actually the president instead of Trump. And Doge, he's cutting hundreds of thousands of jobs and ruining people's lives. That's what these people hear.
Right.
It just happens to be that none of that's true, but clicks, what people will do for money. So this person, that's what she believes.
Yeah, this person who is actually, at least as far as I knew, for a long time, very conservative.
Sure.
They are very traditional, family-oriented, church-going people, but they don't look into anything.
Right.
They just see the worst crap and they go, well, Elon's horrible. It's inexcusable. His behavior is horrible. And the fact that they won't go actually read an article or understand anything that's actually happening, but then they think they have the high ground when it comes to complaining about something that they admittedly know nothing about is beyond entitled to me. And I don't understand how we can actually save these people because they believe that, and this we're talking about this for 8 years. They believe President Trump is the Antichrist and Elon is Hitler. They believe that. They believe they are the righteous freedom fighters fighting against the evil fascism. But they admittedly don't actually look at anything they're talking about.
Well, they don't want things that they don't believe to be reinforced either. So that's also part of it. So the moment you start to introduce something into their little bubble that might be reasonable or sound something a little different than what they think, they completely shut you off. I was in the subreddit, one of the subreddits. It was called inflation. It was our inflation, right? And I'm like, oh, cool. And it's only because I follow finance very, very deeply. So I was looking into that subreddit because I'm like, okay, I want to see what's going on with inflation. But it was only people talking about how much they hated Trump and all the terrible things Elon was doing. The moment I said, whoa, hold on a second, Trump has nothing to do with the price of eggs, I was banned. That's all I said was he had nothing to do with the price of eggs. Banned from the subreddit, not allowed to be here anymore. So, the problem is that in a lot of these environments, you can't even, the moment anything is introduced into it that might be reasonable. So what happens is they end up just piling on this info, piling on. It's almost like a little cult. You can't break into it. You can't reason with them. You can't change their minds. And this sets up
and they have these evil little moderators, these little fascist moderators behind the scenes that won't even allow discussion to take place.
Well, they're the ones who are doing it, basically. But they've already drank the Kool-Aid. So this creates a really interesting scenario where a few well-paid people can infiltrate a group, telling people exactly what they want to hear and ramping up their feelings to the point where they start firebombing Tesla places. It would not surprise me at all to find out that there are factions, that are against Trump that have gone through and tried to fuel the fire, no pun intended, of the destruction of these Tesla plants and places where they sell Teslas, and now attacking people in the street. I was telling Brian, I was driving home this morning from somewhere. On the back of someone's Tesla, it said, "I bought this before Elon went crazy." That's what it said on a bumper sticker on the back of their Tesla.
Right.
So, I mean, the reality is, if you spend 5 minutes looking at Elon, we've told you guys this, if you spend 5 minutes looking into him, you find out that he's probably, one of the, at least from the point of trying to do something for humanity, probably one of the best people on the planet trying to help humanity. Right. Despite, but the fact that he has millions and millions of dollars is why you see, AOC and Bernie Sanders drawing a crowd of 35,000 people in Arizona to say, bring down the oligarchy. The oligarchy is, in their eyes, Elon Musk. When you see coming up in the next year, so there's going to be tons of things about bring down the oligarchy. They're talking about Elon.
Which is crazy. The people fighting the oligarchy are the oligarchy.
You're right.
Like you understand.
Or the bureaucracy. I wouldn't say the oligarchy. Okay. Oligarchy are the rich people who are running things.
I'm sorry.
The bureaucracy.
Wait, you said rich people that are running things.
Yeah.
Bernie Sanders has 7 houses? He's worth millions and millions of dollars. Nancy Pelosi worth millions. Chuck Schumer millions.
Not enough to be considered an oligarch, though.
But these people that are actually running things are multi-millionaires on salaries that they shouldn't be millionaires on.
Still wealthy, correct.
So extremely wealthy people that shouldn't be that wealthy, according to their job.
The mouthpiece of the shadow government, yes.
Right. So that's the definition of oligarchy to me. People that are actually running things, that have all this money that they shouldn't have, that they only could have gotten through corrupt means.
The oligarchs come from Russia, where basically the oligarchs run Russia. A bunch of rich guys in Russia run it. So that's where they're coming from. Super rich people, super rich business owners.
But
they're going to talk about.
Elon Musk didn't make his fortune on the backs of American taxpayers through corruption. The way Chuck Schumer, Bernie Sanders, Nancy Pelosi, insert politician that's been a politician for 40 plus years here.
True.
They are millionaires because they are corrupt. And there's no other way around it. They are corrupt. They took payoffs one way or another, legal or not. They are corrupt. They have been working a job that pays a couple $100,000 a year for 47 plus years. They should not be worth $39 million and have 11 houses.
True. I agree.
Sorry. I got a little so different. Hey guys, in the chat, we're going to talk about the Department of Education pretty soon. Bernie Sanders is an absolute cuck. Anyone There was a time where I thought Bernie Sanders was not a bad guy. He's all about the little guy. He is not. If you think that, you are being played, sir. Bernie Sanders is all about getting elected to stay in power, to keep stealing from the little guy. He is not helping the little guy. He is all about lining his and his family's pockets with your motherfucking money. And if you think that if you buy his words and think that he's actually for the little guy, you have drunk the Kool-Aid. And what does Kool-Aid mean? It's a reference to Jonestown, which means it's too late for you. Because once you've drank the Kool-Aid, you're out. You're dying in minutes. It's too late for you if you think Bernie Sanders is the good guy in this equation. He is not. And I'm so tired of Bernie bros out there acting like Bernie Sanders is for the little guy. Look at his net worth and then shut up.
Well, that's once again, and we're going to ask you to take your blood pressure medicine. Once again, Bernie Sanders, right, is one of the few mouthpieces speaking for the little person. And so once again, it's look what I say, not what I do, right? He plays a very small faction. He's essentially our socialist, right? He's the guy who's been around. He's a well-known socialist. He's as close to communism as you get. And he's well funded by other people who have the same beliefs.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what keeps him in power, and name recognition in that. And it's not because of his beliefs, and he's never going to change anything. He's not going to be, they're looking for an AOC Bernie Sanders ticket in 2028. I pray to God they run. That's all I can say.
Yeah. Please do it. Do it. Oh my God, please run AOC for president. God, do it.
When I leave every day.
No, it's not even about how she looks. I cannot fathom how hilarious the memes will be. It'll be the most glorious Republican victory in the history of politics. I gotta tell you right now, on that note, a lot of people are talking about how AOC is also super wealthy and worth all this money. That's actually not true. She's actually not very wealthy at all. She has not yet. Not yet. She has not spent enough time in the belly of the beast to accrue a high net worth. But there are conservatives out there posting memes and like images valued at $18 million from bartender to millionaire. How is that? Well, she's not a millionaire. That's just not true.
But it takes time. She hasn't been in office very long. Most people in office, it takes time for them to get the $1 million speaking engagement, to get the, and that's really where it comes from.
She's a stooge right now.
The book deal, but she is, there is a lack of a voice in the Democratic Party, and she's going to fill that void. And it would not surprise me at all if she rose to the top of the ticket. They're not going to run her as president, I don't think. I think they actually want to win. So you're going to see probably a Gavin Newsom or the guy from Philadelphia, Andrew, what's his name? So
I had to get that joke out. I can't say it on stream.
Oh, wow.
I had to get that joke out. It was on the tip of my tongue.
I'm not going to say anything. You'll have to do members.
So I'll tell you in the members section. I'll tell you about the joke. All right. So listen, you can dislike Elon Musk all you want, doesn't matter. But stop attacking regular people. We should not promote or make this kind of activity something to look up to. Like, don't. It's insane. So easy. Stop doing it.
It's so easy to activate young people who are going to throw their lives away over this. I think there's a young black girl who damaged a Tesla, and her mom's like, please, she's just didn't know what she was doing, kind of thing. Well, she got involved with the wrong group, went down to do a demonstration at a Tesla place where they sell Tesla dealership, and she ended up damaging 2 Teslas.
Right.
Now she's going to go to jail.
Right.
That's it. And you just, to peacefully protest is one thing, but know what you're protesting for.
Yeah. And can we define peaceful protest? Peaceful protest is not acts of vandalism. That's not a peaceful protest.
Right. It's not.
The second you start breaking, damaging property, painting on people's windows, stopping people from moving in the middle of the road, scratching their cars, keying their cars, that is not peaceful protest. I literally think that the previous generation that is out there doing this stuff don't know what the term peaceful protest means.
Well, they don't think it's good enough. I've already told you, this generation needs a war. I hate to say it. They got too much time on their hands.
We need the Salarians to invade.
No, we'd lose. We don't want that to happen.
We would lose, yeah.
They would take over. Yeah.
They would take over. Yeah, they would. All I'm saying is, once you start damaging people's property or effectively holding them hostage by sitting in the middle of the street and daring them to run you over, I gotta tell you, that is not peaceful protest, and I'm pretty sure it's kidnapping. So I'm pretty sure it's an offense. You need to stop. Stop doing that. I don't go read a book, research, look at both sides.
Well, it's embarrassing because if you just ask them a couple of simple questions, okay, what has Elon done wrong? If your answer is Elon supported Donald Trump and you freaking hate Donald Trump, fair enough. Okay. But you got to understand that you can't go and destroy all of his businesses as a result of him supporting Donald Trump.
Yeah. Imagine if conservatives are doing that when Biden won in 2020. Imagine if they just started destroying any business that donated to the Biden administration. Yeah. Would you not look at that and be like, that's reprehensible behavior? Of course. And I would agree with you. Are you kidding me? That's not going to happen. But then you're praising people that are out there keying cars. They deserve it. Or randomly chasing people down, driving a Tesla just so you can flip them off and then hit their windows as hard as you can. Their kids in the back seat crying, and they're just like, dude, what are you doing? This is all on film. These cameras have 360-degree cameras.
They got great cameras in these cars.
They have cameras everywhere, and you're literally you're committing assault on camera. Stop it.
Well, it makes you wonder, what has happened to these people to make them so angry?
Right.
If you worked for the government and somehow you got fired because Doge came in and you lost your job, I can understand you being upset.
Right.
But that's not who's doing this. These are just young people who've been, if you go to any subreddit, you go to Reddit, go to any little town, usually along the coast, California, New York, somewhere along the coast, go to any little town, like say Ventura or Los Angeles, go to any of those subreddits and just take a look at what's happening in there. It's a bunch of crazy young people talking about how they want to go destroy stuff. Right. It's absolutely insane. They're trying to organize going and rioting and doing crazy things. Honestly, the only way people are going to understand that you can't do this is they're going to have to get in trouble for it.
Right.
We made a huge mistake not getting people in trouble during the BLM riots. It was a huge mistake. There should have been consequences because now people don't realize that there's going to be consequences for the shit they're doing. And it's going to come down hard and it's going to be nasty for some young people. I'm just saying.
Yeah. The BLM riots, the way we managed that was a total mistake.
It was.
There should have been a lesson learned there for the smart people that pay attention when other people get snatched up.
Because if you destroy a Tesla dealership, you're going to go to prison. They're not joking around about it. So
no, they're not playing.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We need to talk about the Department of Education. We get this from Jeremiah Harambe. Thank you for the $10. He says, ooh, how do you like the fact that President Trump said that he found a way to break up what needs to be fun, the schools in America, any specific special needs?
He found a new way to break up what needs to be
fun. With the schools in America, the way he broke up the department. I think he's talking about the Department of Education. How do you feel about that? So I think, and I'm just guessing here, I think he's talking about how do you feel about President Trump breaking up the Department of Education and what that has to do with special needs kids.
Interesting. Okay. Well, listen, first off, thank you, Jeremiah, for the $10. And an interesting take on the Department of Education. So the Department of Education was created in 1978, I believe. I was 5 years old. And I can't tell you how much my education got better as a result of the nation taking over the education from the states. But what I can tell you is there are some programs that Trump is saving from the Department of Education. So, for example, student loans were previously handled by the Department of Education. They will now be handled by, I just drew a blank on where it's going. It'll be handled by another agency. Actually, it's going to be the Small Business Administration. The Small Business Administration and let me tell you, that's great. Go invest your money in SoFi, who has tons of student loans, because the Small Business Administration, they don't screw around. They get their money back. So the Department of Education has been kind of letting people slide on their loans, paying them back. I have a feeling that SBA won't allow that to continue too much longer. The other thing is food programs. So the federal government does support food programs for children, which I think are helpful and important, at least until the states can step in. So that's going to be handled by the Bobby Kennedy, Robert Kennedy's group, HHA. They're now going to handle the food support that the federal government, and then that will allow the Department of Education to go away, except in order to completely abolish it, you're going to need a vote by Congress, which is questionable whether or not that'll occur. I hope that answers your question. Special needs kids, if I can tell you, and I have a lot of experience with this, that's handled at the state level. So each state has usually an individual education plan for kids who need extra help, and that's not a federal program. At least I haven't experienced it as a federal program. So nobody should lose anything for special needs children.
Yeah, my wife works as actually, speaking of, she worked as for her job before this one, where she worked as a special needs counselor at the school district. And she directly managed multiple kids, right? Mm-hmm. And that was a really rewarding job for her. And then she got an opportunity to move up ranks and handle a much larger job at another school, which she took. But she still stays in contact with a lot of those kids and sort of tracks their progress and who's taking care of them and all that, right? And the thing is, I don't know if regular, and I'm not, look, one of my daughters is special needs. So this is not I'm making a blanket statement because it doesn't apply to everyone with special needs. Some special needs kids need to have something as simple as an IEP or some kind of extra special attention during recess or something like that. And they'll do fine in regular school. But some special needs kids should not be in regular school.
Right.
But right now, the sort of blanket way they deal with it is they will take people that are non-responsive, can't really speak on their own, prone to violent outbursts, that kind of stuff, that really they shouldn't be in a regular classroom. And I'm not being callous. This is happening right now.
It's true. It's 100% true.
They shouldn't be in a regular classroom, but they are, because the way it's managed is honestly mismanaged. And so it needs to be on a case by case basis. If a child can communicate and has the ability to learn at a semi-normal rate, and maybe they just need a little extra help or a little longer time to do their test or a little more extra time to do their homework, that's fine. That's completely fine. That they should be in regular school and they should get those extra little considerations because they're special needs. But if your kid cannot verbally communicate, they shouldn't be there. It's a distraction to the other kids, and I'm not being mean. I don't know where to put them.
Well, so just be clear. So California handles this actually really well. There's a public school system that has a really good special education program. And there are actual special education classes where kids like that's where they go all day long.
But they're still spending time in the Gen Pop, right?
No.
Oh,
Not
weird.
all the kids are. Some of the
Our
kids.
school district. Yeah.
Well, you're in a private school, though, right?
No. I'm talking about the one, my wife works at the public school.
Oh, she's at the public school.
It's
So
funny. My
is she
wife
in
works
grade?
at the public school district, and my kids go to private school. That's telling you something.
Is she in a elementary?
In high school.
She's in a high school. Okay, so high school should have a very small special education class, and the kids who can go to regular classes are encouraged to go there and then come back and get help at the special education classes. That's the way it should work.
Yeah. So
So
that is how it's supposed to work. But a
Mhm.
lot of these kids that are doing exactly what you said are totally nonverbal, can't communicate. They're prone to like violent outbursts to the point where
then they shouldn't go to classes,
they
and
have, they have to
the school.
assign like a security guard basically to shadow them the entire day. So
The
they don't
school's
like,
making that mistake. So they should just they have special education teachers that they're in their special education class all day long. At least that's the high schools I've been experienced with. So they should have their student there, and they shouldn't go to other classes. Now maybe they're trying to encourage them to get the experience to branch out, but maybe they're not doing it correctly.
right.
But according to what was said here in this, thank you for the super chat. He's right. Roughly 14% of federal budget of the federal funding for schools goes towards low-income students and students with disabilities. So there is money going to public schools for that. I'm not 100% sure. I'm assuming that this has to do with food. Because low-income students, I don't see a need that they would need, because public schools provide all of the school supplies that your student needs, like pencils and papers and stuff and computers and stuff. That's all done at the school. You don't have to provide that. The only thing that some people may have to provide for their schools is food for their children during the day. So I'm assuming this 14% budget is going to feed low-income students and students with disabilities. That's what I believe. I haven't had any experience where federally we're receiving money in any other way, shape, or form. So perhaps that's one of the reasons why. And listen, there's no reason why states can't. I'm paying currently, I think I was telling Brian, right now, just my property tax for my home is approximately $14,000 a year, which mostly goes towards funding public schools. I'm one house among hundreds of thousands. There should be plenty of money for the schools that we're paying our taxes on.
Yeah, there's a lot of people are criticizing the dismantling of the education department, but I gotta say it really hasn't worked for a long time. It seems like you have this federal department that either isn't doing its job properly and just sucking up money, or they're prioritizing the wrong things, and not having generals enough support. I think it's odd that since I was in school, since I was in middle school, we've had that constant, never-ending reminder that teachers don't make enough money and they don't get enough school supplies, and they have to buy their own school supplies, and they have to buy their own this, and it costs too much money to be a teacher, and they don't make enough money, and then too many kids in the classroom, and not enough pencils, and not enough equipment. Yeah, right? Since I was in middle school, I'm 43 years old now. That is still a conversation being had. That is still a complaint amongst teachers and school administrators and all this stuff. I don't know. I'm not going to pretend like I'm an expert on the Department of Education. But since I was a child, they have clearly not been doing their job properly. If 30 years has passed and we are still complaining about the exact same problems.
Well, California specifically, the overcrowding in classes has to do with having so many kids coming in from illegal immigrants. So we actually weren't even able to go to our local public school because it was too full. And there's too many kids who don't speak any English. So we ended up in a completely other district because our kid couldn't even go to our neighborhood school. There were too many children. Yeah. So
a big reason why I suffer the private school payment, because I really can't afford it most months, but I do it because one reason is I remember taking our kids to their first grade, and it was just packed. Parents, everywhere. It was a room that could fit like maybe 20 kids and a couple adults. And there were easily 40 kids and 15 adults in there, all packed. I remember sitting on this little tiny chair that was made for like a child. And I'm looking at the teacher, and she has blue hair, and the sides of her heads are shaved. And I'm like, what am I doing? Her pronouns were written on the board. It was a whole thing. And I'm like, this classroom is packed, like wall to wall people. And I wasn't even in like a poor part of like the county. I was in Villa Park, dude. And if you know anything about Villa Park in Orange County, Villa Park is like a rich area. Like I purposely, I used there's a trick you can do at schools where you can use a very specific address to get your kids a part of a specific school. And I went through all that process to make sure my kids were going to go to that school. And I'm at the orientation. And I'm like, this is not going to work out. And so I had the option to take my kids to private school. There's some people that are going to help me with the payments because it was just too much money. And I did that. And the private school had 8 kids in the class, a teacher and a TA. And the lessons they're learning is normal curriculum. My kids are smart. One of my kids has special needs. She has a learning disability because she had a heart condition when she was younger. They give her extra time to do her homework. It's just so much better for them. Even if it costs me too much money. Like I can't afford it. But it's better for them. And I don't know what needs to change. And I'm not sure if California is even fixable. But
I think the states need to take responsibility for their public schools. This article that you'd sent over talks about how, states like Mississippi and Alaska depend on the funds for more than 20% of their school district costs. And people worry that without federal oversight, like state leaders could spend the money on anything they want, including vouchers to attend private schools. And their big fear is that they're not able to collect enough property tax to be able to take care of their school system. Some states don't collect enough income on property tax. Well, what I'll tell you is if you don't make enough money on your property tax, then perhaps you're spending too much money on your school system, or you need to actively, can't just use property tax, but you got to actually use some of your state funding. Maybe you have to raise some of your taxes. Look at the state that we live in. We pay a ridiculous amount of taxes because we have so many people that have to be taken care of for, especially, kids going to school. There's so many kids. So, we end up paying tons of taxes, and that's just what you're going to have to do. So if you're worried about that, some of these states who are a little more poor, you're going to have to find a way to raise money, spend less money on other things. And you got to, advocate for your children. That's what you got to do. I mean, listen, you can't expect, daddy government to take care of you. Nobody can expect that,
Yeah. From this article, you're completely right. From this article, I just read, and now I'm realizing why it needs to be shut down. It's not that it's not doing its job. It's that it's actively doing the wrong job. So this is what it says. This is from the AP. For decades, right-wing activists have called for eliminating the agency, which was created by Congress in 1979. As Trump remakes the federal government, he has assailed the department as wasteful and responsible for spreading woke ideas such as programs that support diversity, equity, inclusion, and protections for transgender students. By the way, there shouldn't be transgender students, but that's another whole other topic for another time. He goes on, the department has been largely responsible for oversight, enforcing discrimination laws, and distributing aid money for schools with low-income students and students with disabilities. Federal funding make up a relatively small portion of the public school budget, roughly 40%. So it looks like this department, like other departments, were slowly taken over by activists. And those activists have been utilizing the power that they have been given to slowly pressure and push and maneuver and guide the ship toward this wasteful sort of DEI agenda.
I mean, that's what some people claim. I don't know to what degree that's the case. The states have ultimate oversight over it. So maybe if you live in a state where, DEI is important to you. Take Florida, for example. Florida was shutting down anything that had to do with that stuff. But whereas California would be like, yeah. So perhaps the federal program was like, no, we're not going to give money to you, Florida, if you're not going to take these.
And that's how they guide it.
Way to control it.
That's how they guide it. Hey, you need some of that federal money? Well, pitch me. How are you doing with that diversity, equity, and inclusion over there, huh? How's your trans population, huh? How many teachers have they, them pronouns? Talk to me, Goose. You want that money? You want that money?
And to be fair, we don't know if that's the case.
I mean, that would make a lot of sense, though, considering the last 20 years of just insane pressure, the DEI pressure in the public school system.
Perhaps is there, and I don't know if there's a federal DEI pressure or if it's people who become teachers that are part of the LGBTQ community that are pushing it from the ground up.
What are the odds of this tiny percentage of the population all deciding to be, not all, but a large portion of them deciding to be child teachers and children based? What are the odds of that? You have this tiny percentage of the population that all want to teach and be in the service of guiding children.
Well, not necessarily. They might just end it up there because teaching is a place where people end up when everything else fails. Generally, very few people say, "I'm just going to go be a teacher."
Here's a theory. What if the more LGBT teachers you have a better option of getting federally funded from Alice, who works at the Department of Education or whatever?
Perhaps, but I don't know if that's the case. So you're saying that, but we don't really know. We haven't researched it enough to know that that's the case. It's possible, but I would hesitate.
I don't remember a single teacher in my school growing up that was LGBT.
I would hesitate to infer that that's absolutely the way it is.
I didn't say it was. I'm saying it's my opinion.
Well, no, you didn't. Well, now you are, but you didn't.
I didn't know. I literally prefaced with that statement with, in my opinion. Okay. I'm saying, in my opinion, this could be a possibility. So I'm covering myself twice. Yeah. In my opinion, this could be a possibility.
Yeah, I would say that. Yeah.
Twice covered.
I mean, just because we don't know, and I would hate to say.
Because it's so prevalent now. It's so prevalent.
Well, and I think it's a whole thing. I think there were quite a bit of LGBTQ teachers when I was a kid. They just, no one was going to say they were gay, but every one of those gym teachers, those female gym teachers, they were not very feminine. So I'm pretty sure most of them were gay.
My name is Carol. We're going to play dodgeball today.
There's always a big joke with the girls. They were
Jonathan,
about their lesbian.
Get over here.
Yeah.
Mrs. Carol? That's correct. Mrs. Carol. Holy shit. Okay.
Well, and let me tell you, becoming a teacher.
I had a teacher named Carol that I swear to God, I didn't know if they were male or female.
Well, being a teacher is one of the easiest things you can do. So as long as you have a degree and you pass the teaching test, you can pretty much be, and they need teachers. So if you're having a hard time getting a job, and let's say you're a different person, you're part of the LGBTQ community, you don't quite fit into the engineering community or to other communities where you're trying to get a job, it's pretty easy to fall back on being a teacher.
That's my fallback job. I'm not joking. I plan to teach computer science if YouTube doesn't eventually pay out.
Dude, you would have to.
If my merch site dies and YouTube dies, then I'm going to be at a local community college teaching computer science. I swear to God, that's what I'll be doing.
I would teach community college, but I'm not teaching high school.
I'm never going to. I will never teach high school students.
Yeah. All right. So we'll see what happens with the Department of Education. It's definitely going to. But I tell you what, if a Democrat wins in 28, I promise you it'll be back. So that's it.
But this is a side note. We already ended the clip, but isn't the person in charge of the education now like an wrestler or something?
No, it's the guy who owned WWE,
right?
It's his wife. Yeah, who's friends with Trump. So
fucking awesome. Yeah. All right, we got a super chat from Sosa. This is his third super chat.
Whoa, what's up, Sosa? Thanks, brother.
This is my buddy from Florida, my dude. He comes in for $5. He says, firm handshakes.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking
My
about.
man. Thank you, Jay.
When you teach your children to shake somebody's hand, tell them to grip firmly and make eye contact, please. Yes.
Hello, good sir.
Yeah. Make that adult a little uncomfortable.
Squeeze as hard as you can. It's good to meet you.
What do you drive? Do you drive a Tesla? Just asking.
Just want to know if you drive a Tesla, bro. Marx says, doesn't Alaska pay their residents $1,500 a year to just live there? That's actually true.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but you have to have some Inuit in you. So I'm going to tell you, I know this for a fact. I'm actually well versed in this topic. My mother is a quarter Inuit, like Native Alaskan. And so they actually gave her land there. And she had this land that was in this frozen tundra, basically.
Did she have to fight with a polar bear over it?
No. And she was getting paid to live there. She wanted me to go out there and live with her because she was getting paid to be there and she got the land. But I found out later, if I had also gone to live with her, she would have gotten an extra $1,500 a month from the government.
Were they sending you to the wall?
Because I'm an 8th Inuit. And the last time I checked on it, she had sold that land from like next to nothing just to get the hell out because she didn't want to live there anymore.
Well, nobody wants to live at the wall. Come on.
Yeah, you're basically living at the wall from Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
So it says, when I let my son out of his cage, typically it's just to feed and wash. Will do, Shane.
Nice. I feel you. My kid's the same.
One last thing on this topic. Canada says, how much of the money going to schools is going to administration costs and how much is to students and teachers?
Well said.
That's a great question, bro. This is from that guy. This is also a good point. You're right. Wife and I argue why we have to buy school supplies. Also, high school FAs a requirement to rent Chromebooks to do classwork. Yes, you have to rent Chromebooks. And I remember asking the school, can we just buy a Chromebook? I'm a computer guy.
Yeah.
I can buy a $30 broken Chromebook on Facebook Marketplace, have that thing up and running in 5 minutes. These are not complicated devices. They're very simple. They basically open up, wait for it, a Chrome browser. That's it. That's their only job. These are not very complicated. They don't require a lot of stats. You can buy these things used for like $40. I was told without a shadow of a hint of irony that I could not buy my own. I had to rent it from the school district, and it was $40 a month at the time for both of my kids, $20 a kid, and the reason being is because they have special school software on there. Do you want to know what special school?
Hold on. Was it public school or private school?
Public school at the time.
Okay.
Do you want to know what the public school software was?
No. I mean, sure.
Google Classroom.
Which is not public. No, that's not their school software.
So special software went on these, so you have to rent it from us. And you're using Google Classroom.
Okay. So, yeah. I have not experienced this.
Is that not extreme irony to you?
It is.
It's a free service, by the way.
I haven't experienced having to rent a Chromebook. Fortunately, they've always came with part of the school. So if some people are dealing with that, then I'm guessing that's a school issue that for whatever reason they can't get the funding to be able to do that. So that's not cool.
By the way, in my kids' private school, they have Chromebooks, and I don't have to rent them. But then again, I have to pay them tuition, so maybe that's part of it. I don't know.
So, and I don't know, perhaps, some schools are better for doing, maybe doing fundraising and maybe being able to pay for those things. But ultimately, each school district has to figure out how to pay for the things that they need. And we pay for this with our taxes with public schools. And, kids should be able to have everything they need. And if I'm going to pay taxes to something, right, I would rather it go to educating young people than to a lot of the other bullshit that we pay taxes to. So I'm down to take care of the youth and make sure they have a good education. Let's put our focus there as opposed to, paying for the Salomon slenderfish to survive in the forest properly or something. So, whatever it's called. I'm just making stuff up at this point.
You just made a word up. You're right, though. I'd rather pay for that than to pay for some endangered little fish to keep living.
Right. Or to study whether or not, the effects of rain on paint,
to study how fast a lobster or the shrimps can run when they're on meth.
Yeah, or to build a giant train between two towns where a train will never be built.
Right.
And it'll cost billions of dollars. So,
By the way, this was an actual, they did actual studies where they spent money to find out how fast shrimp were.
I don't know.
I don't understand.
I'm assuming there was
shrimp on some treadmill and they would jack them up with methamphetamines and see how fast they can run.
I'm assuming there was some honorable intention to begin with, but I don't know. People just want to get paid to be scientists, bro.
They didn't stick the landing on that one.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about a very complex topic. And I'm really hoping that Shane can shed some light on this, because it's unbelievably frustrating for me to see unelected judges unilaterally deciding whether or not the president of the United States that is elected can do or not do his job.
This is a very complicated thing. So as we all know, there are three branches of government. Okay, you've got the legislative branch, which makes up the Congress, the Senate, and the House. You have the, the president, who makes up his branch, and then you have the judicial, right? The judicial is made up not just of the Supreme Court, but all of the federal judges. Okay, of which, as you all know, every judge at that level, including the Supreme Court, is an appointed judge. Okay. It's very frustrating when you see the correct path that you feel like some of the stuff that Trump's doing with deporting people and trying to do these things. It's frustrating to see that be stopped by somebody who just simply doesn't like Trump and doesn't agree with what he's doing. Right. What I will tell you is that, as frustrating as that is, this is our system of government and how it's intended to work. So what should happen is this federal judge, who was able to do this because of not just their fear was perhaps not just not just the people who were actual terrorists on the terrorist list are being sent, but perhaps other people as well. Terries?
We got to not use certain words because
you can't use the word terrorist.
No, you can't. You just use it twice.
Why can't you use that word? I have not been told that.
We get a yellow mark when we put the clip up. I got to always cut it out.
Oh, well, you never told me that. People who shoot guns in other countries and shouldn't. I don't know, what we're going to call it.
Say terrorists.
I don't like that word, so I'll come up with something else.
Oh, you know what? Just say terrorists. I'll bleep it out every time. Terrorist. Bleep, bleep, bleep. There you go. Go ahead.
No, I don't want to put you through that effort.
It's too late. I'm already doing it. Bad
people. How about that? So what I'm saying is so that's their justification for going against Trump, right? What their real goal is to slow down the Trump, to slow them down.
Right.
Typically in the past, that's been done through Congress. The other side slows down Congress because most of the time a president isn't trying to change all the laws very much. It's Congress that's doing it. So the side that's not in power drags their heels into the ground. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, because the Republicans have both the House and have all two branches, the only thing left is for the Dems to use the judicial branch to try to drag Trump down. Mm-hmm. Now, what's going to happen is on appeal, all these things are going to get overturned. Most of them will get overturned. But they're hoping, and they know this, but they're hoping it will stop him or slow him down in his agenda. That their whole goal is just to derail whatever he wants to accomplish. It is our system of government. And while it's very frustrating right now, what I will say is I believe that it's the most effective form of government that we have, because you need somebody who can put somebody else in check. We don't want your president, no matter what side you believe in, you don't want them to be able to do whatever the hell they want while they're president.
I agree. But can I propose a change?
Sure, go ahead.
If your case is proved frivolous after it's been challenged, mm-hmm. and it's kicked back, you're on leave for a year, no pay. Or 3 months, or whatever. There needs to be some kind of punishment. You cannot waste the government time, waste your time, waste the taxpayers' money, waste everyone's time and money just because you feel like you don't like someone. And if that happens, you need to be punished. Unpaid leave 3 months for every infraction. Ready? You can't do that. You put out 6 time wasting bills that you knew for a fact were going to be kicked back. When they get kicked back, 6 times 3, motherfucker, you're 18 months. You're on leave.
You can't do that.
Why not?
Because then you're all of a sudden now you're in a tyranny.
No, there needs to be punishment for activism.
No, well, see, that's the thing is it's not activism. It looks like activism.
This is activism. Like this guy right here. I'm sorry to cut you off.
I know he's an activist in what he personally believes, but what I'm telling you is...
But he's using his position that is unelected to make decisions that affect...
No judges are elected. Okay.
Yes, I am making that distinction because the person we did elected is making decisions on the behalf of American people.
Got it. But our government is 3. There's 3 people equally in charge
and
of our government.
And there's one branch that is not elected by American people. In
one branch is completely
which
not
means
elected.
One motherfucking judge that was not elected, that should not have this kind of power, can hold an entire branch of government hostage because they don't like that person.
But what's going to happen? Okay, so let's say that happens, right? And there's no leg to stand on. They're doing it simply to throw a wrench in the system.
43 years, and this is the first time I've ever heard of this happening.
Listen to me. Do you know what's going to happen to that judge? He will not be fucking taken seriously. He will not climb the ladder to the next level. He is essentially committing judicial suicide for his career. I'm telling you, he's not going to be selected by anybody to do anything.
Let's follow this guy over the next 3 years. Let's see if he's still a judge in 3 years, because he still will be.
He'll still be a judge, but he's going to be stuck. So essentially, the choices he's making.
But where are you stuck at? He's stuck at having power over the president of the United States. It's a pretty good place to be stuck.
Power. He doesn't have power over the president. He's all he's doing is slowing him down.
So in this instance, he literally
can stop him.
He ordered the president of the United States and our government to rehire the thousands of people that were fired for, and I quote, negligence and poor performance. So there are a bunch of people that were fired for not doing their job, right?
Okay, let me ask you a question. Let me stop you.
Go ahead.
Let's say Trump isn't president.
Okay.
Let's say it's somebody else who's doing something that seems questionable. Okay. Do you want it to be looked at closer, or do you want there to be no one else that can be forced to look at it?
You can look at it. I'm saying there should not be a judge, a single person that goes, you know what? We're not doing that today.
That's not how
Cite
it happens.
the law. Show me the law that says these people are not allowed to be fired for poor performance.
That's not how it happens. So the judge doesn't just wake up one day and go, shit, stop that. That's not how it happens.
Oh yeah, I'm sure there's paperwork.
So there's lawyers who bring it to the judge, right? Who go through the system to say, we need to stop this from happening.
I understand that, yeah.
They go to the judge. They make sure they take it to the judge they think is going to side with them, which is wrong. We don't want judges to be political, but fuck they are. That's why we have on the Supreme Court
some that are on the left. Punishment.
No, you cannot punish, because if you punish a judge, right, for following what they believe is the law, and by the way, there is no green, red. There is no black and white with the law. It is a judgment. It is what happened previously.
No. This is his interpretation of the law.
Of course.
But the second you say this is your interpretation, you can make that interpretation whatever you want.
You can,
because you hate the person who is currently in charge.
But what happens is other people, you lose the respect of everybody in judicial after that. You become a leper. It is. It's the same thing with any job.
We can always go. Then those lawyers can always go to that judge and get whatever they need, because they know that judge hates that president or that Republican or that politician or whatever.
Perhaps until it comes
time. It's insanely corrupt.
Unless it's a lifetime appointment, somebody else can be appointed in your place.
That's the problem with judges. Most of them are lifetime appointments, Shane. You know that.
A lot of them are.
So if that's the case, how can you not punish these people? They need to have some kind of reprimand for wasting everyone's time and money.
That judge isn't wrong.
He's not wrong?
That's his judgment. It's not wrong.
No. But you don't know that. You don't know if that's truly his gut interpretation of the law or if he's just lying.
We never know.
So there needs to be some kind of admonishment.
How do we hold
some
our
kind
judges
of accountability?
How do we hold our judges accountable when we don't even hold our politicians accountable?
Dude, when 8 cases get kicked back, right? And this guy is at 6 right now that have been kicked back over the last 6 years since Trump first got elected. When we get to 8, at what point are you no longer allowed to do that job? How much time and money have you wasted of our money and time? Come on.
It won't change. Well, listen, Congress has been wasting our money and time for generations.
Oh yeah, I understand that.
And they're elected.
That's a whole other.
My point is that ultimately,
they can be voted out. I know they don't, right? Because Nancy Pelosi has a stranglehold in California, but at least there's the option. There's no option for these judges.
For not having a lifetime appointment for anybody who's not on the Supreme Court. That could be a good argument.
Okay, I like that.
Okay,
all right, no lifetime appointments for Supreme Court.
Only for the Supreme Court.
I'm sorry, for anything besides Supreme Court. Yeah, okay. That's good enough for me. That means if they're on number 6 of activist nonsense, and someone gets into power that has a problem with that, they can appoint someone else to that position.
The problem is, Brian, not everything can go to the Supreme Court. There's just too much shit out there. Okay, so the reason you have all of these other federal judges is you got to have a stopgap before it gets to the Supreme Court. They can't rule on everything that happens in government.
No, you're right.
So that's why you have these stopgaps in these people. And unfortunately, when Obama appoints a judge, he's appointing someone who thinks the way he thinks. And when Trump appoints a judge, he's appointing someone who thinks the way he thinks. And if you're a judge who has some clout, and I don't know if this judge is a bad, is doing nefarious things or not, but he may be a true activist and believe what he believes. And he feels like he's got to stop Trump at all costs. And he has the power to at least slow him down a little bit. Now the Supreme Court's going to come back as soon as Trump's like, okay, we appeal this. The Supreme Court's going to go, okay, what are you doing here? Obviously you can't stop this. So then it'll continue. And now the next time he tries to stop the same thing, it won't stop because the Supreme Court has already ruled that what he tried to stop, he wasn't allowed to stop. So he gets a one-time shot to stop something brand new that's happening. But after that, it'll automatically get overruled quickly because it's already been ruled for.
When it's specific to that law, though, right?
Well, specific to like this situation.
Right.
So he's deporting people,
that particular situation, right?
So if it
deporting people again, or hiring people or whatever, yeah, right.
Right. So if he decides he wants to do it again, that judge is not going to be able to come back and do the exact same thing. He can't even change it a little bit. It's going to immediately, then it'll go straight to the Supreme Court quickly, and then he's going to be admonished. And you're right, there will be a punishment. Maybe he won't get fired, but there's going to be an internal, better than this, because a judge is supposed to.
I know that's the case. I'm not saying we rip out the way democracy works. I'm saying that the current system is rife in Congress and in judges is rife with activists that are constantly, and we have no idea if they're corrupt, if they're fighting against the American people, if they're trying to do their jobs, if they're trying to keep their jobs. We do not know.
Right.
And what we do know is there is no real. It doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of repercussions for being an extreme activist, whether you're in Congress or a judge, right? What about that guy? Which it got kicked. By the way, it got kicked back, but they were attempting to hurt President Trump's run up to the election by charging him with dozens of felonies. Right. That was an activist that they were trying to hurt his chances of being president. They were actively election engineering, and he is not going to face a single repercussion for doing something that 100 years ago would be treason.
Well, sure they did. They faced a repercussion because what did the Supreme Court do in response? They said, you can't do this to a president. A previous president. So now they've reinforced the fact that when Trump's out of office, you can't do this to him.
Right. So the next guy that they use,
right.
So Trump's got to take all the hits.
He's taken all the hits, and he's done well. He took the hits, he survived, and now he's the president.
I mean, it's shocking how he was able to actually withstand the storm.
Yeah.
Because anyone else never becomes president. They don't even they don't even get their party to elect him.
100% true. So listen, this is what I would call a last gasp of a dying power. When you have to go to the courts to try to slow down a president, it looks bad. Especially when he was, unanimously voted in for the will of the people. It just doesn't do well. So I think this is a bad look. And while you can destroy the minds of some people to be, to just blindly believe the lies that are being told and to feel the way they do, like with the stuff with, Tesla and stuff against Trump. And you can do that to some degree, but I do feel like it's a dying gasp, and this won't go on for much longer. So I don't think it'll be a big impact.
I hope that's the case.
Yeah.
I hope that's the case.
They're trying to get him, though. They're trying to get him and saying that now if he defied a court order, now you might be able to get into real trouble. So they're trying to find out when the planes took off, and was it before or after the judge ordered them not to do it?
So corrupt, bro. Like they know it's going to be kicked back. They know it's going to be kicked back, but they're trying to get him on defying order. So it's like it's such a weird thing. Like imagine
it happens every time, by the way.
Imagine that for a fact that you're wrong, but you're hoping that in the time it takes them to discover that you're wrong, that you can get someone else in trouble for the same crime. It's so filthy and gross.
And unfortunately, this happens every time somebody's elected. Ever since Clinton, they just go after the opposite president and they try to impeach him. I mean, every time we have a president, the other side tries to find little ways to slow them down or to drag down their policy. And it is democracy, but it's frustrating, especially when you feel like your side is trying to do good things for the country. So it's unfortunately the ugly part of how our government works. But until somebody can figure out a better form of government, just remember, without having this, then that means that you've got Putin in Russia.
That's true.
You've got somebody who just does whatever they want to do.
I am president for life. You can run against me if you like.
I will just have you killed.
But you will then disappear, and no one will ever see you again.
That's exactly
right. I am
right.
President Putin, and
I am the president.
I am always going to be your president. Yeah. It's crazy that we have term limits on presidents, but no term limits on anything else.
Yeah. Well, that's because the people who made the rules about term limits had the power to do it. Right. It would be great if it'd be cool if the president and the Supreme Court could be like, we're going to enact term limits. The problem on them. The problem is that we made it so that the only way to create a law in our country is to go through Congress. So you can't create a law to set term limits for the people who are setting the law for term limits.
Political trap card.
Yeah, they didn't think that one through for sure.
Or they did.
Maybe the framers of the Constitution. I don't know, maybe.
All right. Let's move on.
All right.
We got one last topic. We need to talk about. Actually, let me record this one. We need to talk about Shane's latest obsession.
Oh, yes.
Severance.
No, Adam Scott is my obsession.
Yeah.
I agree. I am obsessed with this guy.
Severance just hit its season 2 finale, and it's already been renewed for season 3. And I know we're going to get in this story, but I have one question to ask you first, Shane.
Yes.
How many seasons should this go?
It should never end. I want it to go on forever.
That's the wrong answer.
I know. I'm going to say that if it goes for 5 or 6 seasons, that'll be good.
No, 4 seasons and we're done. It needs to be done in 4 seasons.
I want a little more than that.
Okay, then 5 seasons
the
tops.
Episodes are too short. The episodes are too short.
Okay, so that's true. How many episodes per season?
There's only 9 or 10.
Okay, so it can go like 8 seasons.
Yeah, I would be okay with it going on for long. But here's the thing. the story needs to stay weird and fresh. I don't know if you guys are watching Severance, but it's the number one in all of history of Apple TV, which I know isn't that long. It's the number one streaming show they've had. So more people watch Severance than have watched any show on Apple so far. I mean, and that includes like, what's the one with the soccer, which was hugely popular?
Oh, dude, right when you said that,
what was that thing? I know, I can't believe I totally blanked.
Oh my God. Why? When you said soccer instead of football, I forgot what it was called.
Oh, that's messed up. Anyways,
someone say in the chat. Someone in the chat. I need to know. I'm gonna go look it up. I'm gonna go look it up right now.
That show was hugely popular, and even this show is getting more views. And that, considering the fact that so many people don't even have Apple TV, I think that's pretty.
Ted Lasso, damn it.
Ted Lasso, yes. So this show is even more popular. And I got to tell you, if you haven't watched Severance, let me give you a pitch. I have now watched it 3 times because every time I get a new family member that I convince them to watch the show, like I have to watch it with them. So, and even on the 3rd time through, it's just such a great show. So, you know, the cool thing about Severance is it is getting a season 3. And the reason why I wanted to talk about it a little bit today is because I kind of wanted to get a feel whether or not you guys are watching it. Have you heard anything about it? And what you think? And Brian, I wanted to ask you, do you think it's not getting the Succession treatment because it's on Apple?
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah. It's not being lauded the way Succession was because less people have access to it. It's just that simple.
Yeah. So I don't know. You've seen what, 4 or 5 episodes now?
I'm on episode 4 right now.
Yeah. It's one of those shows where when you first start watching it, you kind of it either grabs you or it doesn't right away because it is a little slow to get into. But once the concept kind of comes to you, like what they're trying to accomplish and the fact that you're just watching something that's a little bit weird and off. Brian, do you remember that opening scene?
Yeah.
Where he's just walking through the hallways? Like
so much walking.
But at what point do you like he's walking and all of a sudden you're like uncomfortable because he's still walking and the camera's still following him?
Right.
And it just sets the tone for what this entire TV show is going to be.
Yeah. I remember when I was watching that first episode, I was getting like Andor vibes. I'm like, why are they walking so much? Yeah. Because Star Wars Andor, like they padded the runtime with random long scenes of them just walking places. And it would piss me off. Remember, it pissed me off. But this one actually had a purpose. It was supposed to set you on edge and set the tone.
Yeah.
Andor just did it to pad the runtime. Let's be real.
Yeah, no, 100% true. This show, their runtime isn't terribly long. It's usually between 35 and 45 minutes per episode. But if you haven't watched Adam Scott, and I hadn't seen him a lot. I remember him from Step Brothers. He's the kind of the asshole younger brother.
Parks and Rec.
He's got the family. You've got him in he was in The Good Place. He played a demon. He was also in Parks and Rec.
He was great in The Good Place.
He was great. And when I first saw
so good.
When I first saw his face, I'm like, he's got like a wax face. He's just got one of these melted faces. So one of the things that Ben Stiller is the guy who's basically producing who's running it, directing it. It's like kind of his show. One of the things I've noticed is if you watch all the characters on the show, they all have weird faces. So it's like they went out of their way to find strange looking people to play all of these parts. And it's just been really fascinating. Season 2 finale just ended. It's fantastic. Now we got to wait for season 3, but just curious to kind of see what you guys thought of it. And very excited.
I want to read these comments real quick on the announcement. So this was on Apple's X account. You can hear that, right? Season 3. Okay.
So weird, bro.
Yeah, it's so weird. But I love this. Listen to these comments. How about we stop with this dumbass 1 episode per week shit? We left cable because we can binge. First off,
no.
For this show, I think 1 episode a week is the right way to do it. You need to build that. You need to build that momentum.
We've talked about this before. Every show needs to be this way because It's what happens during the week that you're talking to people about it and you're thinking about it and you're getting excited for it. It's important that you have this. It's what makes a show legendary and great.
I know people love to binge, but you need to slow release stuff, bro. You know, like it's important if you want it to be a group phenomenon. If you want this to be something that people watch together, right, and talk about daily, it needs to be a weekly thing. It can't be all at once.
It is incredibly frustrating to be left with that cliffhanger and have to wait a week. I mean, trust me, I've felt the pain on having to wait every week to watch the new episode. But what I'm realizing and remembering is that's the way it always was, and it does just make TV watching so much better. I'm doing the same thing with Reacher. Like, it's pissing me off that I got to wait for the next episode of Reacher.
Same with Reacher, yeah. Archmate says, nothing kills a show more than a dump and then 2 years until season 2. I'm 100%.
Oh, it's tough. Yeah. I mean, we waited almost 3 years for season 2, but we had the rest of the C word. I guess we can't say it. The rest of, the illness, COVID. I guess I'm gonna say it anyway. Coof. And then we had, the strikes, which shut everything down. The actor strike and the writer strike. So there's a reason why it took so much longer. Now, season 3 is only going to be probably about a year and a half. They are writing the episodes right now.
Oh, they ask about that here. Details. We need details. Are we gonna have to wait another 3 years for this?
No. But you will have to wait for snow. So this is filmed in upstate New York and New Jersey.
Yeah, Ben Stiller said it will not be 3 years.
Yeah. So what's going to happen right now, and since we know so much about movies and how TV shows, how they're made, what's going to happen is they're going to write the episodes over the next several months, and next October, or maybe they'll start doing pickups and they'll start, principal photography maybe in September. Then October, November, December, when it's really snowing good, they'll get all of their exterior shots and everything they need to do, and then they'll clean it up. It'll probably come out, I'm guessing, between April and June of 26. So.
Gotcha. I love this comment. Canceling my Apple TV sub until season 3 is out. Goodbye.
Wait, but if you cancel it, then you can't watch Mythic Quest, which is a great show. And they got some pretty decent little movies on there. I just watched The Gorge. It wasn't bad.
I noticed about Mythic Quest. You're totally right. This whole 8-episode thing is so stupid.
It's rough.
Bro, I was like, I was waiting for the next episode of Mythic Quest. And I'm like, you know what I'm going to do? I have to edit all night tonight. I'm going to get caught up on Mythic Quest. I'm like, I'll just go back to the beginning. I haven't seen it for a while. And I'll watch it from episode 1, season 1.
Yeah.
And by next week, when the next episode comes out, I'll probably be ready to watch the next episode. That night, I had watched 4 seasons of television.
Oh my God.
In 12 hours, dude.
And it's over. Yeah, that's it.
I was so confused. I was like, yo, what the F? In my entire workday is all it took for me to watch 4 seasons of TV.
Yeah.
These things they're 24 minutes long, and you got 8 or 9 episodes tops. Dude, stack that up against something like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., where it was, or Supernatural, 22 episodes in a season, 30 to 45 minutes long, right? Every one, sometimes even an hour. You have 2-hour specials for the finale and the season premiere and all that. 20, when you talk about 4 seasons of Supernatural or Agents or really anything from pre 10 years ago, you're talking about weeks of watching time.
Well, but there's no incentive now because everything used to be based on selling ads. So they wanted to have tons of episodes because the advertisers, especially on a popular show, they were lining up to put their ads in those shows. Now that we're on streaming, there's no incentive for them to have tons of episodes because what they really want you to do is they're going to keep you there. They want to keep you, continuing to pay for the service. But they think the way to do that is then to give you something else to watch. I would argue, give us 7 or 8 or 9 months of a TV show we really love, and I'm going to stay subscribed to Apple TV for 9 months.
100%.
Why wouldn't, that should be the model. So I think they just have it incorrect. They have it done wrong.
Yeah. They thought they can, what it is? We're going to pad our resume with this new show. and
Right.
these multiple seasons or whatever, right? When they're looking at it they're looking at it from a short-sighted perspective. So you have the names, you have you have that name recognition, that name value for your subscription service, so people will subscribe to you, and then you're hoping they forget they're subscribed.
Yeah,
But
that's their hope. Yeah.
what you should be doing is make 22 episodes of TV per thing. Slow play it 1 week at a time.
Mm-hmm.
I will be every year, while I don't watch for 4 or 5 months, I will be watching the other 6 months.
Yeah, exactly.
And I won't leave because
True.
there's got to be something else to watch in the meantime.
Yeah,
But
100%.
when it's only 8 weeks, dude, I can't, like, after 2 months, yeah, I could totally see justifying just canceling the account if both Mythic Quest and Severance and Silo, they're all done. Okay, I have no reason to have this service until more is out. None.
It's true. Yeah.
I'm at that position right now. Like, I'm sort of like, I'm at the end. I don't need anything else.
They're going to figure it out. So what's happening right now, and there was a really great post put out by Nerdrotic, actually. He put out basically that Hollywood's losing like $1 billion a year on streaming service or something, a big number he put out. And essentially what they're going to learn is that people, I know me, when I'm done watching a show, I immediately turn off my service. Mm-hmm. So, as soon as I finish watching a show, boom, I turn it off. And if I find something down the road that I want to watch on that streaming service, I might activate it again, but I'm going to save 2 or 3 months of payments. Mm-hmm. And other people are figuring this out.
Right. It's called waterfalling.
Yeah. Yeah. So until you figure. So what they need to learn, and I think what they're going to learn really quickly, is they're spending too much money creating a bunch of new shows. So they're spending so much money creating these shows that it's costing them a lot more to run the streaming service than if they just had some solid, long-running seasons of great TV shows, like they used to when they were on cable. Mm-hmm. Now you got people to show and come back and watch it, and they'll pay. But you're not going to get me to watch the new thing on your streaming service if I'm not super interested in it. I'm already unsubscribed. Mm-hmm. So I think they're going to find it's a lot cheaper to just make 25, 26 episode seasons of really good shows, as opposed to continually trying to create new content all the time.
Yeah, and if one streaming service comes out as the streaming service that can reliably offer me and my family entertainment year-round,
yeah,
that'll be the streaming service I keep while I remove others.
Yeah, Archmage Frey has this comment here that is perfect. Exactly it. Paramount tried to do that with Star Trek all year, and they were going to have 4 shows that ran basically all year. So you needed to have Paramount Plus all the time. They just didn't have the quality to do it. And that's the problem. You have to have quality shows in order to keep people subscribed. So he's right. I think they're going to figure this out over the next couple of years, or you're going to see this giant merger of a bunch of streaming services that can't simply keep paying for it. And It's going to be one of the two things.
Yeah, I got to say, there isn't a single streaming service that meets all my needs. Like, I like to watch Reacher, but when Reacher's over, the only reason I have Amazon is because it's part of my Amazon Prime stuff.
Yeah, me too.
I like to watch, like Peacock's a bad example because they have a huge back catalog. But honestly, if there isn't something active on Peacock I want to watch, I almost never boot it up. Same with Paramount. The only outlier, same with every streaming service, the only outlier to this is, I think the only one I keep pretty much regardless is Netflix. Because I feel like there's always something that you can find to waste some time.
See,
I'm slowly starting to realize that Netflix is lacking quality now. There's a lot of foreign stuff, and the price is starting to get to the point where I don't think I want it anymore.
$27 a month, bro.
I might be leaving Netflix soon for the first time since 2000 and since the year it came out. I've had Netflix since it came out.
Yep, I watched The Electric State and then canceled my subscription.
Yeah,
so
I might be right there.
Yeah, it's tough. For me, it's hard because once you add up the prices of everything, it comes out to basically cable. The problem is now instead of paying the $100 a month for cable that we were paying, now we're paying that for our internet. So now internet prices have gone up where you're paying $150, $120 a month. So if you pay $120 for cable and now you're also paying, or $120 for internet, and now you're also paying $100 for cable, the cost is now too much for people.
Right.
You didn't have to have internet to have cable. So that's a huge problem. But so things are getting ready to change. We'll see what happens. Anyways, if you guys haven't watched Severance, give it a try, give it a check. Let me know what you think about it.
You could still get Netflix with ads for $8 a month.
Really?
Yeah.
$8 a month. Who's the price going up for?
Premium members.
No ads?
Yeah, so no ads and 4K and watch on 6 devices. For $7 a month, for $8 a month, you can watch on 2 devices, 1080p with 2 ad breaks.
But it's very tough because, like, for example, Peacock with ads is pretty cheap. But there's an ad. So if you're watching an episode of The Office, you're going to get 4 or 5 ad breaks per episode.
Yeah, Peacock is one of those things you might as well pay for no ads.
Honestly, you have to.
So cheap.
It's so painful.
And it's painful the other way.
Every time. Yeah.
Well, this says only 2 ads.
Interesting. Well, when you're watching a movie, that sucks. But when the ad breaks start coming in the middle of movies you're watching, that's painful. I can't do that.
Yeah, I couldn't do that either. Luckily, I have something called ad block, so I'm not gonna worry about it.
Well, you watch it on your computer, so
right. That's true. So if I was watching it on, you know what I've noticed? Yeah, what's funny is I would rather watch Reacher on my computer because when I watch Reacher on my TV, I have to suffer through ads.
Yeah, it's true.
Because I am not paying for ad-free Amazon.
You can't. They don't have it.
F all the way off with that. I'm never doing that.
They don't have it anyways.
No, they have an ad-free Amazon.
I don't think so.
Yeah, you can pay for ad-free.
I didn't. Well, I mean, you're paying for your Prime account. I don't think you can. Is there now an option for that?
Yeah, it's called. You have to pay an additional $2.99 a month on top of your regular Prime membership
to get ad free.
And I know it's only $3 more a month. I'm not doing it.
Well, you will continue to get ads during your Prime movies, then, sir.
Unless I am on my computer. Yes. I suggest that if you guys have ad accounts, just watch it on a Chrome browser and get ad block. It's this little warning that comes up at the very start, and it goes, "Oh, you can't watch this with ad block." And you're like, "Cool, dismiss. Continue, please." Every time Peacock's like, "Oh, you have ad block on? Is that cool?" I'm like, "Yes, please continue." I do not care.
Reacher is on freebie. Nice.
Zero shame on the ad block thing. People are like, I love how these services try to ad block you. I see you using ad block. We make our money. I don't care. I don't care that you're making your money on these ads. I don't care.
No, you're also getting a subscription.
Right.
I'm paying a subscription. I'm down. Listen, if I don't pay nothing, if you want to make your streaming service free to me, go for it.
Yeah, Tubi.
I remember that model.
Yeah, Tubi is ad supported. I have zero problem with that. I do not pay for Tubi though. So you want to show me ads? Cool, bro. Cool. Because I understand that's how you're paying the bill. But if I'm paying you $20 a month and you're trying to get me to watch ads, you're out of your mind.
Yeah. You
are out of your damn mind. Every time Paramount shows me like RuPaul's Drag Race promo before something, like my heart rate flares. I get super angry. I go on that Paramount. I go to the cancel thing. It says, "Do you want to talk to someone?" I say yes. I say, "I am not paying for ads. Cancel my account." And they give me 3 months for free. I have done that 3 times in the last year.
Oh my God.
All right. By the way, Max has something where they show you the promo, but there's a button that says skip promo. Just like the skip intro thing, skip promo.
I didn't see that.
I'm cool with you putting a promo before a TV show as your internal ad, but there needs to be a skip option. Okay?
Yeah, I'm down with that.
Yeah.
It's like YouTube.
Yeah. Okay, guys. That's about it.
Yes.
We have come to the end of our time together. I appreciate the 30 of you that have stuck with it and stayed here the whole time. I appreciate the super chats and the comments. You guys are awesome. I do want to highlight one quick thing before we leave. Michael says, only downside of waiting weekly is I have no friends to talk to about it.
Oh, yeah, that is tough.
Michael,
well, Michael,
you have us.
Here.
We're your friends.
That's right.
That
Discord,
said,
baby.
Come into Discord, bro. I am spending more time on Discord. Shane plans to. Come into Discord. We will talk about it all day long. We'll talk about it in the YouTube chats, talk about it in X, whatever you want to do. We are your friends, and we will talk about it.
Yeah, you can even email us.
You can email us. And the email address is, I don't know where did I put it? Oh, there it is, right there. Email us there.
Cool.
All right, guys. We love you. We appreciate your patronage and hanging out with us. We got to go and do a lot of dad stuff right now and clean our houses and prepare for the rest of the week. But we hope you guys come back next week. Again, for members, we're doing breaking news. If those Epstein files drop, Jude, we're going to be online in like 2 hours. Like
nice.
When huge things happen, we're gonna go online and we're gonna talk about it with you. And that's gonna be a members thing, which means that there's a potential to get like multiple streams throughout the week. Hopefully there's some good news in there, not just we're doing 5 streams and it's all horrible news.
Russia's attacking.
Russia's attacking.
Yes,
oh my God! They killed the president. I know you signed up to be a member, but I'm really sad right now. I hope it's not all doom reporting. Guys, we love you. Thank you for being around. We got to split. Our wives have been calling for the last 30 minutes. But we will see you guys next week. Don't forget to come on and hang out with me and John and Gary and watch Stargate with us. Yeah. It's only an hour. Hit the Discord. Go to John's channel. I will post more about it on Twitter in the community section. But we're going to go watch Stargate Season 1, Episode 2. It's an hour of your time. If you like Stargate or if you haven't seen it, then I think you'll like it. And I'm watching it regardless, so come on down.
Thank you guys for supporting the channel. Appreciate all the subscriptions and the likes. Love you guys. We'll see you next time.
Later. I can't. This stupid button is gone again, dude. I can't stop recording the show. I can't stop the show.